So our assignment is to take a command line application and prompt the users to get the data we need to fill the objects. And then from those objects, then calculate the net response. Now this is a lot of different types of applications. If you're doing your taxes, it asks you for information about your W-2s and how many kids you have and what you paid in property taxes and all that sort of stuff. It does some math and spits out how much you owe at the end. That's exactly the type of thing we're doing here. We're getting some input, we're spitting out some outputs. And our objects is where those inputs are going to live, and it has the methods inside of there that we've written already that calculates the totals that are going to be spitting out the other side. So what we want to start with is we want to plan out what this flow is going to be. Now, we're not going to write any code right now. We're going to just start with some design pieces and just really starting to get a feel for how do we put this together. So to do that, I actually like to use PowerPoint as a nice little scratchpad tool. It allows me to combine pictures and words and stuff very easily. So I have a brand new PowerPoint presentation that I'm actually just going to change the layout, and I'm just going to go to a big title and content here. Just a nice place to type. So in our hierarchy here, you can see I have the person class that we started up top. And then I have three different types of people. I have guests, employees, and customers. So what I need to consider is all the different types of data I could be getting on these different types of items. And we've done that. You've done that already because you've already built the class diagram. You can just pull up the class diagram and look at each of these pieces. I'm going to kind of recreate this as I go. So inside of my structure here, I can go through and I can build just start with a rectangle here. And so I have a person, and the data inside of a person is IP address and the number of visits. Now, notice here, I'm not using perfect UML. And this is my scratchpad, so I don't need to use perfect UML. But one big thing is, since I have person being capitalized and these guys being lowercase, I can still tell, even without the line, that this one is the class name and these guys are the variable names, the attribute names, and that's useful. All right, so I have the person up top. Then the guest, I don't add any new data for, so that's cool. I'm not adding any new data there, and so I can basically have another one of these guys and throw another shape inside here, guest. And by the way, yours isn't going to be like that. Yours, each one adds a little bit additional data, but I want to be able to show you here how the pieces come together. So the guest goes up to there, and then let's go to customer. And so customer adds in first name. I'm just going to go short, first, last name, and username. All right, so those are the things that come in from customer. And then I have one more class, which is my employee class, which comes after customer, if you remember right. And then it adds in the employee, and then get their ID from that. So inside of my application then, I'm going to need to start by asking, are you a guest, a customer, or an employee? For instance, I mean, yours has different types of accounts you're going to be filling in. But so I'm going to ask you that. So I can start with the flow of what type of person are you? All right, and so I'm going to say, are you a guest, customer, or employee? All right, so let me move some of this stuff out of the way. Maybe you can see it a little bit better now. And so that's my first flow. Which of these are you going? Which of these are you going to be? Now we have all the rest of the data here, so I can just bring this back in center. Now, based off of that, if they're a guest, I want to do all the guest things. If they're a customer, I want to do all the customer things. If they're an employee, I want to do all the employee things, right? And so the very first thing I can start to consider is that abstraction, that grouping that I just made up. What are all the guest things? I don't know. They're guest things. We'll go figure that out later on. So think of it this way. You bring in your car to be washed. I need to do car washing things. I need to do car on the outside. I would do car washing things on the inside. If I have two teams to do that, one does the outside, one does the inside, and let's assume that the inside people can shut the doors and do their work without the doors being open, so you can do it at the same time. Doesn't even matter if they don't need to be done at the same time. You can do one then the next two teams. The people on the outside washing don't care what the people on the inside are washing are doing. They're two completely different parts of the car. So the inside people need to know about vacuums and scrubbing upholstery and getting stains out of upholstery and wiping down consoles and dashboards and things like that. The outside people need to know about spraying it down and scrubbing it and waxing it and cleaning the tires and treating the windows or whatever else they're going to do inside of there, right? So there's lots of details. We know there's lots of details, and you probably know all the details of both sides of it. You're the developer. But at any given moment, I don't care about all those details. So right now, my step one is what type of person are you, and then based off of that, do something with it. So if it is a guest, do guest stuff. If it is a customer, do customer stuff. If it is an employee, do employee stuff. And I can't spell, apparently. There you go. So that's the first big breakdown I want to point out in our application. We don't need to build all this at once. We can build each part of it at the time. As you get more experience, it's going to be easier to see these high-level breakdowns. Your application is going to have a high-level breakdown just like this. You're going to be able to use this exactly to break it down. As we go through, we'll find that there's also going to be some bottom-up breakdowns that we're going to find. That's where we're looking for reuse in particular. And we'll get back to those later on. So what I want you to do now is come up with a high-level design like this. Our next step is going to be basically code out this part and then code out one of these. We'll just take the guest as the first one to go there. Oops, didn't mean to move that around. And then we'll come back and we'll regroup and we'll see what we want to do next. Okay, so that's kind of our next step, is to build that piece. So that's what I want you to do. Come up with your big pieces, or build exactly this. If you're new, definitely build exactly this. And then you'll come back and come up with your big pieces. What 3 type of accounts are you going to build or whatnot? And then build one of them. All right, and then come back and visit again, and then we'll see where we go from there. So there's a lot of cool little reorganizations we can do here, and there's some stuff we're going to defer till later on, but I want you to see we're not just building some individual classes here. We're taking the individual classes we built and we're tying them together, not just through the inheritance, but through a specific choice, through a specific way we're going to build the application. And it's just a way to build the application. You can build yours slightly differently. I'm just showing you a choice because there's not a wrong answer here as long as we meet the requirements. All right, so let's dive in and do some code next.